Hey Crafty fam, it's Alex Vanover and welcome back to my craft room. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use printed pattern vinyl and heat transfer vinyl. I don't know about you guys, but I have always thought that printed patterns were really pretty, but I didn't always know what kind of projects to use them on and exactly how to use them. So I'm going to show you how to use both vinyl and heat transfer vinyl, and we're going to take a look at all of the patterns included in the DIY Alex collection as of March 2021. You guys, I am so excited to bring you these patterns. I love them so much and I hope that you do too. So let's jump into taking a look at the patterns followed by the tutorial. Hello to the DIY Alex collection. Let's take a look at these patterns. So first up is 90s Rainbow Leopard. Next, this is black and gray leopard. As you guys can see, it's kind of like a watercolor black and gray leopard, something that's a little bit larger scale than these leopards. And then last but not least, there is black and white leopard and neutral leopard. As you guys can probably tell, they're the exact same pattern, just in two different color schemes. Next up, y'all know that I had to throw in some fun texture. So these gold dots are called party dots. And they're kind of have like a watercolor or like a sparkle look to them. Even though they are not sparkly, they are totally matte, but I absolutely love these for any kind of celebration. And then this is just modern dots in black. Next up, let's take a look at some fun summer patterns. So this one is sun-kissed stripes. It's got like darker pink stripes and orange stripes in between. And I do want to note something here, especially with this pattern, that these are all the printed pattern HTVs that I'm showing you. They will look slightly different on adhesive vinyl because the adhesive vinyl printed patterns are printed on white glossy Starcraft HD. And since it's a different substrate, it's going to look a little bit different. The colors are typically a little bit more vivid on HTV than they are on the adhesive vinyl, but not to worry, that's totally normal. Next up is Pineapple Paradise. You guys, how fun is this? Next up, you guys know that I had to bring these wedding vibes. So I picked two different lace patterns. This is Blushing Bride. It's just got kind of a rose lacy texture. And then this gray and white lace is called Wedding Day. I'm sure you guys would have guessed that in the DIY Alex collection, there had to be a bunch of florals. So this first one is called Southern Tea Party. It's got kind of a Tiffany blue background with some pink and orange watercolor florals. Next up is this beautiful print called Blushing Blooms. This one is called Summer Blooms, and I'm sure that you can see why. It definitely reminds me of summertime. And then we'll move into some of the floral patterns that feel a little bit more wedding-esque. This first one is called Evergreen, and this pattern gets its name because my husband and I did our first dance to Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran, and Evergreen is from one of his song lyrics. So I wanted to give a shout out to him because he's such a big, huge support of mine and name this pattern from our wedding song. Next is Modern Magnolia. This beautiful print has some really light kind of cream colored flowers, and I think this is going to look gorgeous for all you brides. Next up is Botanical Bliss. This was one of the favorites in the social media voting that I held on all my platforms. You guys absolutely love this one. It has mostly eucalyptus leaves in some blue and some green tones, along with some sweet little hearts. And last up is Twilight Garden. I love this non-traditional bridal looking floral. I think it's going to be so beautiful for all you brides or anyone else who just loves this pattern because I think this is amazing. Now that you've seen all these amazing patterns, let's jump into how to use pattern vinyl and HTV. So once you have your acrylic blank SVG and Cricut design space, the next thing I'm going to do is separate the top and the bottom because I want the bottom to be that really cute Pineapple Paradise pattern from the DIY Alex collection, but I think it would be a little bit hard to tell what it was if there wasn't a green top. So what I'm going to do is go into the shapes panel and insert a square. And then I'm going to actually unclick the lock in the lower left-hand corner like this. And I'm going to create a really thin rectangle. And that's going to serve as like a line in between these two. So I'm going to move my pineapple over just a little bit. And then I'm going to take this rectangle and I'm going to put it right here, which is where the base of the pineapple and the leaves kind of meet. And we might even zoom in a little bit. Yeah, that looks good to me. So then what I'm going to do is click and hold and drag a box around both items, and I'm going to click slice. And once your items have sliced, you'll see that you get a lot of parts out of that slice. So you can get rid of most of those things. And then you'll see that you have two different pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that piece. And then we're actually going to use the contour function in order to get the top of one part of the pineapple and the bottom of the other. So under contour, I'm just going to click the top part and click the hole to turn off both cut lines and then exit out, and you'll see that's just the base of the pineapple. And then I'm going to click on this side and contour again, and then I'm going to get rid of the bottom, and that creates two different pieces that can be two totally different colors. And then under the colors, I'm going to change this one to green, since I'm going to cut this out of green StarCraft HD, and then I'm going to leave this one black. This is the one I'm going to cut out of Pineapple Paradise adhesive vinyl. So then once you're ready to go, you want to click Make It. And everything looks good there. And then we're going to click Continue. So with any kind of printed pattern vinyl, you actually don't work with it any differently than you would regular adhesive vinyl, which means we're not going to worry about mirroring or any of that fancy stuff. Printed pattern vinyl is just like working with regular vinyl, which is great news. So I'm going to click the vinyl setting for my Cricut Maker. I'm going to cut out both of these pieces, and then I'll see you guys over at my craft table to assemble this pineapple acrylic. So like I told you guys just a few minutes ago, working with printed pattern vinyl is just like working with any other adhesive vinyl, which is what's really nice. What I wanted to show you about this pattern is look how fun and bright this sheet is, but even this little tiny piece that's going to be the base of our pineapple still has so much dense color. That's why I love these patterns. So to get started with our acrylic, we're just going to make it the way that we normally would. We're going to begin with a pin pen and pull off the white film that's protecting it from getting scratched. And then we're going to weed all the pieces of vinyl that go with the acrylic. And next we're going to apply transfer tape to both of them. And I'm going to be using my favorite clear medium tack transfer tape from 143 Vinyl, of course. I'm just going to lay each of them on their own piece. You could also probably share one piece if you wanted to reuse it. Then we're going to cut off this area from the roll. Next, we'll use the squeegee to burnish over top of the vinyl and the transfer tape. And we will cut them apart. So I'll probably place the top first because it's a little bit trickier. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm just going to line it up with the hole at the top. And then I'll place the rest of the vinyl accordingly. So we'll burnish a little bit using a squeegee and then remove this transfer tape. And then we'll repeat the process on the bottom using the pineapple layer. So I'm just going to use this big divot in the side of the pineapple as a place to line up with the vinyl. And then once I get it close enough, I'll lay it straight down on the acrylic. And then once you're happy with it, again, you can just burnish it with your squeegee. and you are good to go. I absolutely love using printed pattern vinyl on so many things. You guys know if you've ever watched my videos before that I'm obsessed with acrylic blanks, and that's why I chose an acrylic for this project, but you can use them on just about anything that you would use regular vinyl on, including like card decals, labeling, keychains, gifts, tumblers. There's just so much that you can do with them. I absolutely love crafting with them. So the first step to creating with printed pattern HTV is of course to choose your design. So I'm going to go into my images and I am going to go down to ownership and open that up and click uploaded because I want to search the images that I have uploaded to Cricut Design Space. And in the search bar, I'm going to type Aloha because I have this super cute Aloha summer pineapple. So next I'm going to go in, and normally I would leave this all one piece. One piece of advice I have for you guys is whenever you're working with printed patterns, these big shapes that have words cut out of them look really, really good on printed patterns as long as the shirt or fabric that you're putting it on is really contrasting to the design. But since this design is so large, as you guys can see, it's only 7.5 inches wide, but it's already 13.5 inches tall. It's a big design, and I think this would be a little bit overwhelming all in one printed pattern. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to actually separate it into two different pieces. You don't have to do this when you're working with designs, but I wanted to show you what your options are. But the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click the top of the pineapple and change it to green because I'm going to cut this out of green electric, and then the bottom is going to be cut out of the Pineapple Paradise pattern from the DIY Alex collection. So yes, we are making a giant pineapple out of little pineapples, and I think it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. Okay, so next let's go to the Make It screen. And you'll see that, of course, we have two different mats, as we should. But here's one really important piece about working with printed pattern HTV. Since the printed pattern HTV is printed in-house at 143 vinyl, it does not have a carrier sheet on the top, which means you're not going to mirror it and put it shiny side down. You're not going to mirror, and when you cut it, you're going to cut it pretty side up. But since I'm cutting a second color that is normal, I am going to go ahead and mirror it. Now in this case, it's just the leaves from a pineapple, so even if it wasn't mirrored and I forgot to do that, it doesn't really matter which way the leaves are facing, but I just wanted to point that out to you in case you guys do a project like this. So then when you're ready, you'll click Continue. And once the machine connects, we'll go ahead and select our cut settings. I'm going to be using a Cricut Maker, so I'm going to use the everyday iron-on setting for both materials. If you're using the Cricut Explore Air 2, then you just want to turn your dial to the iron-on setting. So let's jump over to my Cricut Maker and I'll show you guys how to cut this out. So first I'm going to begin by removing the carrier sheet from my mat. And then I'm gonna cut the printed pattern pineapple first. And so I'm gonna print this, or I'm gonna place this on the mat with the pretty side up because the design is not mirrored. So in this case, we are not cutting into the carrier sheet, we're cutting directly into the HTV, and then we will do the rest. So you're just gonna place it in the upper left-hand corner of your mat, just like this. And then we're gonna insert it into the machine. Remember that it's set to everyday iron on or regular iron on if you have the Explore Air 2, and let your printed pattern vinyl cut. And once your printed pattern HTV is finished, you can unload it and then cut the rest of the HTV just like you normally would. Next, we'll unload our HTV so we can weed all this and apply it to our shirt. So the first thing we're gonna do to weed our printed pattern HTV is to cut away just the area that my Cricut cut so we can save the rest of the sheet. So I'm just going to flip it over because I can see the cut lines a little bit better through the back. I'm sure you guys probably can't on the camera, but I can see them. And I'm gonna cut right along those lines. And definitely be sure to be careful to not cut through your design so you don't have to cut it twice. And then we'll begin by just weeding it as normal. So once everything is weeded away, it's time to apply your heat transfer mask. And the heat transfer mask basically serves as like a heat safe transfer tape, similar to the way you'd use adhesive vinyl. When you use most other HTVs, this is normally already applied. We refer to it as the carrier sheet. But since this is printed in-house, it doesn't have a carrier sheet on it. So we are just going to add our own, just like we'd add transfer tape. So I'm just gonna cut a piece big enough for my design to fit on. You're just gonna peel the paper backing off of it like this. And apply it to your design. Then you'll wanna squeegee it down and burnish it well. And then after you've applied the heat transfer mask, don't forget to remove the backing of the printed pattern HTV. So as you can see, my machine is set to 300 degrees, and that'll be just fine because printed pattern HTV presses at 300 degrees for 15 seconds. And even though Caesar EasyWeed Electric presses at 305 degrees, that's close enough to make it work. So the first thing I'm gonna do is actually pre-press my shirt for a couple of seconds to get out any wrinkles. So next I'm gonna line up my full design on my shirt with both parts. I'm gonna go ahead and tack my Caesar EasyWeed Electric onto the shirt first for 5 seconds, and then I'll line up the pineapple underneath. And the only reason I'm doing it in that order is because this pineapple needs to go directly underneath the leaves, and I wanna make sure that it looks nice and put together. So I'm gonna line it up here in the center first. And typically you'd want to do about 3 inches below the collar for most designs, but since this design doesn't start until a bit lower, I may not follow that rule in this case. I'm going to go ahead and remove my printed pattern HTV, since that's a separate layer. And we'll tack this down for 5 seconds. Then I can go ahead and remove my carrier sheet. And I did forget to mention that my heat press is set to medium pressure. Now, since this pineapple is sticking off the bottom of my heat press a little bit, I am going to scoot everything up just to make sure that we get a really good press. And then when everything looks straight, since this is the final layer of our design, we're going to press it for the full 15 seconds. And printed pattern HTV has a warm peel, so we'll give it a couple moments to cool off. And then you can peel off the carrier sheet. And there you have it, a super cute printed pattern HTV t-shirt using the new Pineapple Paradise from the DIY Alex collection. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and that you learned so much about using printed pattern vinyl and HTV. So if you're interested in any of the beautiful patterns that you saw in this video, you can go shop them right now using the link in the description, and I'm sure it'll be in the comments as well. Don't forget to use the code ALEX5, that's ALEX5, to save 5% on everything on the site that's not already on sale. So make sure that you go check that out at 143vinyl.com. If you guys make anything using printed pattern vinyl or HTV or anything from my tutorials and you decide to share it out on Instagram, please use the hashtag DIYAlex because I love seeing what you guys are learning about and crafting. And if you've made it this far in the video, then I want to get to know you on social media. So please find me at DIYAlexVanover on pretty much all major social platforms, but I'll also put links down in the description below so you can find me super easily. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more just like it, then be sure to subscribe to the DIY Alex YouTube channel and be sure to ring the bell so that you get notified every single time that I put out a new video every single week. But don't wait for next week's video. Be sure to check out this one next. Or if you want to make your DIY dreams come true, be sure to check out this video. I know that you're going to love it.